things.
We're live.
Oh, that means I've got to go get...
We're like the Schrodinger's cat of podcasts.
Yes.
It's not live until it's live. It's not dead until somebody watches.
It's a good thing we have an excellent connection. Stream is healthy. No issues.
Yeah, it is live. Look at that. Oh, it's not even a double clickable VID today. That's unusual.
I don't think anybody knows what
Live
that means.
mode on. They would. Okay. Update. Let's see if this works.
Broadcasting live at 1080p,
Wrong.
It
30
works.
frames per second.
That's all the frames we need. Who needs more? Jeremy.
Exactly.
It is live.
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Oh, that's an old one.
And the answer is it's Memorex. This has all been pre-taped. When phone numbers are given, please do not call.
Yeah, it's not a
Previously
real phone
recorded.
number.
PC Perspective
My
Podcast number
paper.
655. We recorded this 7 hours ago. I don't know if YouTube allows 8K live streaming.
Well, not on Roku.
They have 8K videos.
Definitely not on
on
Roku.
YouTube.
Yeah.
I think you pretty
Hey,
much
all.
have to get... I think you need 8K to finally get to the point where it looks as good as a 1080p Blu-ray.
Kent says that as soon as everybody has a 390, we can do 8K. And 360 frames a second.
Well,
Yeah, will we still be alive at that point?
we can do 8K if we all do 4K cameras, because then at least if all the corners are
Yeah.
4K, then it'll be
You're right.
8K. But that's only for the
Yeah.
composite shot.
Kent, when are you coming on the show again?
What does Kent say?
He hasn't said anything yet.
I see.
He's typing
Kent Burgess
furiously.
is
He's still
typing.
drunk off of the Braves win in the World Series. He hasn't fully come back down to
Oh.
earth yet.
When I'm invited
That's
and
fantastic.
when I finish another review. He's right, though. He's right about both of those things.
Okay.
Okay.
Gonna start the recording.
Oh, okay.
What is even a 4K webcam going for? 150?
I think somewhere in there. The Logitech Brio is the most popular one.
Yeah.
But
What kind of upload speed do you need to have to?
that depends. I mean, it will take advantage of your NVIDIA graphics card automatically, so it'll use hardware acceleration for compression.
Oh.
But it only does 30 frames per second, so it's not really that much worse than
Yeah,
1080
4K 30,
would
right?
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4K 30. It's compressed.
Nobody
the heck
wants
out of
to
it,
see
so-
this in 4K.
Nobody wants to see any
It
of
was a
us in
bad enough
4K.
jump to 1080.
Yeah.
If we go 4K, we might be able to read the papers on your wife's desk behind you.
You don't
That
want
would be
that.
exciting.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been very happy with my wife in my office lately.
That's good.
She's listening to me.
You wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to complicate anything by a 4K stream then.
I think my dog wants out.
Puppy just learned a lesson.
And the dog will be on the show. Josh will be returning momentarily.
But when Josh returns, he already has his audio.
In the
figured out.
meantime, if he's not back soon, just wait longer.
YouTube commenter. Brett's in a mellow mood tonight. Brett's
I haven't even
always
done anything yet.
in a mellow mood.
What? I am not always.
I think
in a
he's
mellow
drinking
mood.
mellow yellow.
It is yellow.
Just butter it.
It is
Hey,
yellow.
as long as it's
You
not
need your eyes
brown.
checked. What's wrong with brown?
If your pee is brown, that's not a good sign.
It's not a
well,
good sign.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not a good sign.
What you drinking, Jeremy?
Mole porter.
Mole, 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 mole.
Yeah.
That one?
Because I realized that sticking with the imperial porter that turned out to be 11.5% might not have been a good idea.
Oh, you're
Not,
getting
not
real
well. For the
lucid
first
last
30 minutes, it would have been great.
Yes. This is
Yeah,
a mild,
sure
what,
does.
7.5? But yeah, it's very nice. Even though it's got a skull on it. It's a Day of the Dead type thing, but it's chocolatey and spicy and
Mac Dude Guy says we look dapper and expert. I don't know who he's talking about. He must be watching a different show.
yeah, I think the comments got crossed with a different stream.
Yeah. This is the best Macintosh podcast I've ever found.
He's not wrong, at least on one topic.
Who? Oh, I can't remember his name. Who's the guy who was the host of the Google This Week in Google? Is it Jeff Jarvis or something?
Doesn't ring a bell.
That's who Brett reminds me of. I always think that I'm on
What?
that show.
Why?
Because you are a man.
constantly
you're
attacked.
a dapper looking man with a sort of angular face, and you have salt and pepper hair, and a reserved speaking style, kind of like NPR.
I'm bringing
voice.
Demeanor,
You know what? I'm
if you
not
will.
doing the NPR voice tonight. I'm not
Yeah,
doing
but you can't
it.
help
Not.
it. You have that sort of
Not.
carefully modulated voice where you're
Carefully
almost like on
Hello.
a self-imposed compressor. You'll never exceed a certain threshold.
If I ever approach negative 10 dB, I need to
Those
back
really
up.
are some good sweaty balls.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin. He's a funny
is a-
guy.
Excellent, excellent episode. Skit. Doug Schweddy.
All right. We are already recording. Let's start the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the PC Perspective Podcast. We've reached episode 655. It's December 8th. It's 2021, and I'm Sebastian Beek.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Sternberg.
And you can subscribe to find out when we go live for events like this podcast recording session, which we're doing live, by the way. This is not pre-recorded. We're actually doing this live on the internet right now, youtube.com, live stream it. Find out. It's pcper.com/subscribe. Be there the next time we record one of these things and hear all of the stuff that you don't get to hear in the finished version. Or join our Patreon, patreon.com/pcper. You'll get the full uncut madness that is this recording session every week. I've been posting these. I'll throw up some updates, things like that. You can communicate with us there. Patreon.com/pcper. A special shout out to Steve this week. You know who you are.
Fist bump Steve. Steve knows who he
Woo.
is because Steve gave us a nice bump this week. Just wanted to call it out. You know, you don't have to just join. If you're already a member, throw in another $1.
Or take $1 off. Change your contribution.
Just change it.
so that we
Just change
see
it. If you
change it, we will tell about it.
Lower
Right.
it.
We'll talk
Great.
about it.
I was at $10 and now I'm at 1. Say my name, bitches.
Well, I mean,
all right.
we
Well,
are
we do the
contractually
thing.
obliged to.
No, wait a
Please.
minute. Two things.
Let us
One,
know.
I want to make sure that the comment Sebastian tried to slide underneath there, that he's on there commenting about stuff, doesn't go unnoticed because he's jumping on there now and talking about stuff you can't see anyplace else.
Well, I mean, I've done that once. Don't get too excited, but there will be further
I'm
updates.
excited.
I
know, I'm
I
deeply
threatened that I would start like posting what I was working on and stuff. So we'll do that there.
And you might do it.
It's a friendlier
not wrong.
environment than our public Discord channel tends to be.
It is.
These days.
It is. And if
Avoid
if
it.
you're
like
already
the plague, by the way.
if you're already a
The
member and you go
Discord,
in,
not the Patreon.
not the Patreon. If you go in and change your name, I'll get an email and we'll stop the show and read it out loud.
Yeah, it's the old tradition.
Probably.
I think Ryan started this
Yeah.
many years ago.
Much to his own dismay after
Right.
he realized
because
what
people
started
start
happening.
saying some pretty
Indeed.
scary things sometimes.
Yep.
You know what's not
Learn there are
scary?
things we can't say.
we can talk about food. We always do anyway. And
Yeah.
it's Josh's turn. It's Burger of the Week.
It's been weeks and weeks and weeks since I last had a burger, and so it was nice to get back there. All last week it was closed because of Guy Fieri was in town and filming there and getting all their specials and whatnot, and I had to go back and get the classic. Had to get the Hayfire, except they're out of pepper relish. So instead, I just added extra jalapenos.
Fury ruins
came
everything,
out.
man. I'm telling you.
Dang near perfect. The fries were good, crispy, not soggy. Their seasoning, whatever they do, is fantastic. Their chipotle mayo mixes nicely with the jalapenos and the pepper jack cheese, double patties. Perfectly done. I have no complaints whatsoever about this burger. It was great. I avoided the salad on it. I ate, some of that later after I finished the meal just because, tomatoes and lettuce and onion on that would just just not good. But anyway, yeah, it was a nice return to a classic after being away from a good burger for too long. Yes,
Any further comment on this, or
apparently not.
There is. Happy
where's the
anniversary,
witty
Rebecca.
repartee?
So wait, we just got a Patreon pledge.
We gotta.
Happy anniversary, Rebecca. Wait, come on, that's great.
Rebecca, happy anniversary!
And this is your gift, Rebecca. I hope you appreciate it.
You've made it another
Happy
year. Let's see, Jeremy, you were just clipping. You've actually managed to do it. I'm proud of you. I've reduced your level.
Yeah. Well, at any point in time, I can switch back to the real microphone.
I'm liking
This
this.
was a
'cause
show off what an HS80 sounds like.
It sounds good. It does sound like a headset,
Yeah.
which reminds me of the old days because you always used a headset back in the day.
Yeah. Well, and headsets don't really sound like headsets anymore. They sound like.
Yeah, the HS60 I tested back a while. It had a decent mic, and at least with that one, you could actually move it in front of your mouth.
Yeah. See, I can move this one in front of my mouth, but if I
It's too stiff.
I'm gonna go now.
It's
We're-
too stiff
I
right
don't
now.
know why.
I can't imagine
Took a
what
little blue
happened.
pill before
Yeah.
before the
Yeah,
podcast,
okay.
and
All right.
it's supposed to be better for the heart anyway. So
Oh yeah.
Anyway, nothing wrong with
that
Jeremy's
prostate
blood
cancer.
flow this episode.
yeah,
Okay, moving on to news. And last week we omitted something kind of important. I think it was kind of a same day story. We didn't get it in time. Snapdragon Tech Summit was last week. We reported on the new Snapdragon processor briefly. They haven't released a lot of details about it. You have to kind of jump through hoops to find out what the core count even is. But they had something else, which I think Jeremy perfectly described as perhaps the return of one of the greatest handheld consoles ever made. And no, I'm not talking about the Vita. I'm talking about the N-Gage. But it's not really an N-Gage product. It's a development platform. It's kind of like this company that has a games distribution platform and has their own handheld coming out. It's like, that's x86 based. Qualcomm's not going to be very happy about that. They're all about ARM. So they have this G3X handheld gaming platform that they want people to get excited about and start developing for. Is this anything more than just a fancy controller case for a smartphone?
Or a switch that the controllers don't come off of.
Yeah. The controller here in this picture looks exactly like a stretched out Xbox controller.
Well, don't they all nowadays?
Yeah, it's pretty much the
Except they
standard
got
now.
the gaming nipple for the joysticks.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little bit better than. Yeah, there's not too many cell phones out there with 120 hertz OLED screen for hopefully the price that this is going to be around. So at least you've sort of got that going for you.
can you make a call with it though?
Well, of course not, but
Oh,
that's why it's
no
a
mic.
failed
You
N-Gage.
can't
awkwardly hold it against your head
It
to
has
make a
no
phone
mic.
call.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, headset dudes.
Well, I'm sure there'd be a wireless headset for it.
Oh, it's got Bluetooth then.
So
Well, and
they're
of course
working
it's
with
got Bluetooth.
Razer on this. All right.
Yes. Yeah, so that's probably where the switching and stuff is coming from. And oh, look, thumb buttons.
Okay. Apparently,
So
these
it's-
chips are for scale. Like
Yeah.
this tiny ARM
Not-
chip is
not-
powering this. How
Yeah.
big is this thing? Well, there's a USB-C port that gives you an idea. This is pretty big.
Yeah, it's a fair size. But I mean, then again,
amazing
if
how
you're
few
pushing
pads-
an Adreno that fast, you need a bit of heat space.
What was
Sorry,
that,
Josh?
I said it's amazing how few pads that actually has.
Yeah.
You know, with Intel going to 1700 with their CPU and AMD doing the same with their next generation and even their current stuff, 1377, I think. Anyway, yeah, that's I guess it is mobile though. So what can you do?
I love this description. It has a screen in the middle with gaming controls protruding downwards
protruding.
on the side. I mean, they do protrude. There's, the buttons are
Yeah.
above the surface.
And then the other thing, it's got a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. So again, yeah, it needs a bit of space to hide things in.
I feel like it has to with 120 hertz refresh screen.
Yeah, and it's still, I don't
Worried
think
about
it'll
it.
last all that long.
No, I'm worried about battery life here. The Adreno
But,
GPU can handle 144 frames per second, it claims.
Yeah.
So,
So a little bit more than the thing. And then the other thing is that, of course, because everyone has to stream your games now, what it's using with that extra horsepower is that you'll be able to play the game on screen at the same time it's capturing and coding it and throwing it up to the net with a built-in 180p camera that it's going to put in the corner of the screen so that people can watch your face as you're streaming games on
180p
it.
or 1080p?
Sorry, 1080p.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wait, so you're going to live stream yourself gaming a streamed game from your handheld?
Yes.
Like,
But on the other hand,
how are
apparently
you
you've
gonna hold
got
it so you get a good shot from the built-in camera?
It's going to be nose cam. It's going to be 100% nose cam.
Okay, a Steam Deck, if you don't remember, has, I think it's only a 720p screen, right? Or maybe it's 800. It's 1280 by 800, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Low
It's
resolution,
a weird one.
slightly higher resolution than the Switch, which is 720, but still, I mean, they know that if they're actually processing it on the handheld device, it's better to have a lower resolution. And playing games natively at a lower resolution or downsampling them always looks better than upsampling from a lower resolution, unless you're using some kind of, the modern upsampling technologies. But I don't know about this. I don't know about the screen resolution. Wait, what is the screen resolution? The webcam's 1080p. What is the display resolution? It just says a 120.
It's 120
hertz.
hertz.
Maybe this is lower resolution.
They
Probably
sort of
is.
bounced around it like you can totally project, connect it to a 4K TV and play that way.
Oh, okay. I wonder if
But
this is the same
yeah, we've got a
720.
screen on it.
Okay.
We've definitely got a screen on it.
I've scrolled through this article now completely and have not seen a display resolution. I'll have to look that up.
It's not like they actually had it to give to people to play with either. This is kind of a proof of concept. I don't think it's going to be available anytime soon.
Oh, I see. It supports up to 4K resolution according to their website.
Yes, if you're going to an external display.
Mesmerizing graphics, it says. True
Yes.
10-bit HDR.
There is so many details on this release. You will just be blown away.
Let's see. Specifications. CPU. CPU cores. Qualcomm Cryo CPU. That's all it says. It doesn't tell you how many.
Yeah.
4K TV out. And this is going to be like 720p.
Ooh, variable rate shading.
Oh, wait. Where?
Well, I mean, it's going to be ultra widescreen from the looks of it,
10-bit HDR.
unless I'm seeing something weird. But, yeah.
320 by 200 resolution. You've never seen DOS games like this before.
It's probably going to be
Do you
like
remember-
a 1920 by 7 something.
Do you remember when all the videos were 320
Yeah.
by 200?
Yes.
Can you I am pleased to discover that-
Steakandcheese.com. Did you ever go there?
No, but I will now.
No, it was
You have to
bad.
go to the
place.
archive
I think
for
that's-
that.
Okay, not going.
I hope it's long gone.
Can you believe that YouTube still has 144p as an option when you're watching videos? They at least do on a phone.
Yeah, my work laptop over the VPN can just about handle that too.
Perfect. You know, internet isn't quite the same in Canada, I guess. That's what I hear.
Well, neither is a corporate
delayed.
VPN that's about security, not performance.
True. Oh, speaking of security, well, kind of. You know about DRM, digital rights management, copy protection. Let's just call it what it is. Well, you know, 12th generation Intel had a bit of an issue with DRM out of the box, where the DRM programs were misinterpreting the efficiency cores apparently, or not recognizing them and thinking that something nefarious was going on. So a bunch of games didn't
So
work.
much for that unlocked tag.
Yeah. So as I say here, you still can't buy DDR5, but DRM issues are coming to an end. There's only 3 games on it's not Microsoft, it's Intel's official list of games affected by DRM issue in 12th gen Intel Core processors for Windows 11 and Windows 10 page. It's actually what it's called. I linked to it. So now it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Fernbus Simulator, and Madden 22. I didn't know that anybody played Madden on PC anymore. I thought they'd stopped making it for PC, but apparently I'm wrong. And then, obviously, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a bigger title. I'm not sure how popular Fernbus Simulator is, though.
Sounds
three-
crunchy.
That's not Bus Simulator.
No,
Fernbus.
I know Bus
Simulator.
Simulator.
Is that like Captain Planet's mode of transportation? The Fernbus?
It's a greener version. Oh, you're talking about Zach Galifianakis?
It's
No.
apparently something that exists on the German Autobahn. So you're driving a transit bus, but you're
green
driving on the Autobahn.
Okay.
You're doing craft
Wow.
work now, aren't you?
It was like
Sounds very
high
important.
Yeah.
speed bus
Title.
travel. Okay, I'm informed that Madden came back to PC in 2020, according to H.
Jeremy.
Jenkins in our YouTube chat. So thank you.
That was good.
Thank
Scroll.
you.
Okay, there's the thing called a scroll lock workaround, which is what motherboard vendors have been updating their board, like the system BIOS, to support. Apparently, a quick shortcut: hit the scroll lock button if you have the thing enabled, and it'll turn off the E-cores. Unless you use the scroll lock for something else. I like the scroll lock to initiate benchmark recording. But apparently you have to give that up. All right. Well, scroll lock will turn off your E-cores. Dynamically placing them in standby when playing games, according to the literature. And anyhow, so that's the current state of Intel Alder Lake 12th Gen Core DRM issues nearly being resolved.
Nearly.
3 games.
They're working overtime, especially on that Fernbus simulator.
Look, we're laughing. It's probably like the number 12 game in the
They've
world.
sold thousands of them in
Yeah.
Germany.
Yeah, it and Farming Simulator are in a neck-to-neck tie right now.
I never would
It's
have
like-
guessed.
But if you really want bad,
18-wheeler.
try Desert Bus.
Truck simulator.
Desert Bus is the worst of the worst of them because, yeah, you're literally driving through
Through a
a
desert.
forever procedurally designed desert.
I
Isn't
think I
that
watched a
didn't-
really old LGR video on that one.
There was a charity drive for that back in the day.
Well, no,
They
it
used
was
to
like
do like
Penn
a-
and Teller made
Oh, yes,
made
yes.
that simulator,
that
and
is
all it
it.
was a straight road. But every once in a while, your bus would veer, and so you had to correct
Yes.
it.
You,
Yeah.
it was in real time, and it's
Yep.
what, like 8 or 10 hours long.
Yeah,
Exactly. This is, yeah. You're driving from Tucson to I forget where. But yeah, it was Penn and Teller originally, and then it's turned into a whole charity drive. I don't know that they did it last year, but Desert Bus for Hope is a thing.
Discord says Fernbus coming in with mixed reviews off of Steam. So,
Oh, okay. Well, because of the DRM thing, everybody was buying all the new. Like they bought a Z690 board. They
You're
spent
right about this.
$1,700 on
Yep.
DDR5
Yep.
on eBay.
yep.
They got a 3090
They,
for
they literally
Yep.
killed somebody for
$3,000.
the 3090. Yeah.
Yep. And
Yep.
then they get it all put together.
They couldn't play it.
Yep.
And it's, oh, are you kidding me?
Yep.
Oh, I've got a Core i9 unlocked, and I can't play Fernbus Simulator.
And brand new bus-sized steering wheel simulator kind of thing going on. Yep.
Custom.
Custom. Yep.
That would be kind of fun. Play racing
It would
games
be
with
a
a
little bit fun.
huge bus.
Huge
steering
wheel. Yeah. With a big suicide crank on it.
Not that size
Oh, yeah.
matters. You know, it's not the size of the wheel that matters. It's the.
Here we go again.
I keep telling myself. Hey, happy Friday from Microsoft. You know what, Microsoft? They love you. They're sorry. They'll never do it again. You can use whatever browser you want, honey. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can have your browser back. Here, look at our shiny new start menu. Don't worry about our anti-competitive bullshit. Now you can do more pins and things.
And more recommendations. Or you can go to default. So, well, technically they did make it a little bit better. They actually just made it so that you could add more cruft to it. But yeah, the biggest thing, which I think Redmond just was totally shocked by this when they realized that a lot of people were upset that you could no longer just go into default apps and say, no, my web browser is now anything but Edge. But you actually had to go down into the protocols and take HTML and HTML and HTTPS and everything manually, one by one, back to whichever browser that you would like it to have, and not have it just automatically go to Edge. Now, of course, they're never going to, randomly switch you back to Edge being your default browser ever again, like, say, at the next update coming out in a week or two. But at least it's a little bit frickin' easier to switch back, because before, that was just a little bit ridiculous to make you do it by protocol. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Except, and you still do get the little pop-up if you're using a different web browser other than Edge to say, Edge, it's built on the same technology as Chrome. You should switch to it. But I'm using Chrome, so, but we have extra security features. Okay.
Edge, it's just like Chrome, only slightly less compatible, and it confuses certain websites that don't work properly.
Including Microsoft's own.
Yeah. Oh, Microsoft. What are you going to
It's
do?
currently having serious PDF rendering issues.
Okay. Well, any more on that, or should we move on to exciting?
I mean, I just want to keep
tantalizing?
talking about things other than graphics cards that we're never going to be able to buy. But
No. This
No,
one's new.
no, man.
Kinda have
Forget
to.
about
Breaking news.
Forget about the past.
It's behind us.
Okay. Right. The past is in the rearview mirror of the bus
Yes.
traveling through
Yes.
the desert.
The firm
We
bus.
are on a journey of togetherness, of healing. A new graphics card is coming from NVIDIA to save us all. I know you can't get your hands on GPUs right now, but what about a 3090 Ti? It's on the
Oh,
launch schedule,
gosh.
according to videocards.com. They have received the very first embargo information about the new RTX 3090 Ti. And you know it's going to be
I thought you were
affordable.
gonna talk about the 2060 12 gig.
We'll just have to
No.
throw that on because I don't know if it's on the list
Oh,
or not,
okay.
but we certainly have
It's
to
not
talk
on the
about
list.
that too. All right, we'll talk about that next. I'll just click on the link on videocards.com. We're already here. This is
All right,
the
you got that,
videocards.com part of the podcast.
All right.
So 3090 Ti on the launch schedule. I'm sure it'll be ultra affordable. January 26, 6 a.m. Pacific. That's the on-shelf date, according to this very plain-looking table here with some censored description information.
Let me ask Josh real quick. Yeah, how much room is left on that silicon to unlock to get from 3090 to 3090 Ti again? Like-
5%.
That's probably generous. Yeah.
Hey, but the memory total. What's the 3090 again? Is it 20
Was it 22?
or is it?
I
don't
thought it was 20.
remember. Oh, it's 24.
Oh,
Okay, it's
jeez.
24.
Yeah, 24 makes sense.
But look, the
20
TI
yeah.
could have much faster memory. It goes from 19.5 up to 21 gigabit per second.
Oh my.
Unlocking
Wow,
the full
that's-
potential of GDDR6X.
That's definitely in that 5% zone.
Actually, the
Ish.
core count increase going from 10,496 to 10,752. I mean, I'm not a math whiz, but that feels like less than 5% to me.
Yeah,
It
I
does,
think
but
you're right.
combined with that, what, 1.5-ish?
I mean, that's significant. That's a lot of memory bandwidth.
Maybe
It is?
2%. Let's go with 2%, shall we?
Okay. Split the
Yeah.
difference.
I guess
Yeah.
it's
Three,
Well, that's
3.5.
interesting to me is the 3080-12, but actually the 3070 Ti 16 it's probably there
Yeah.
to really compete with AMD and the 6800, which if you can get one of those at MSRP, you're sitting pretty. Yeah. They are available at
Josh is
highly
mean.
inflated prices.
all right. Let's just talk about this. There's a multiple announcements of this card. I'm just gonna show you the page here on video cards with press releases. It's not a rumor. It's not a leak. It's real. NVIDIA has actually brought back the RTX 2060 again, but this time with double the RAM. Instead of 6 gigs, like the card that's in the streaming PC that I'm using right now, it's 12. That's twice as much if you're not keeping score at home. And while the GPU isn't any faster, that memory will ensure that the GPU that can't quite manage it will be able to handle those higher resolutions that you can't actually play with it. Let's
So
not call it a mining card, but I mean, isn't that kind of what this is?
Oh gosh, yeah. Kind of,
So
yeah.
let's look at the.
Well, no, absolutely not. They've sworn that they're not supporting the mining industry whatsoever.
Well,
and-
if it has the
Wait,
LHR thing,
Do you think that did they go back and adjust the 2060 chip to include the LHR?
I don't know.
I doubt
That's
it.
what an interesting question. So no, could very well be a gift to miners.
What I'm hearing about this is that the performance is lower than a 2060 Super, which makes sense because the 2060 Super is a 2070. So this is just a 2060 with more RAM. But they have apparently increased the boost clock by some 3.6% in this model.
Ooh.
Other models have increased it, like the dual
That's only
Evo
half as much.
non-OC is 1.8% higher. So we're talking about something with 2,176 CUDA cores. It's based on TU-106-300. I think that's exactly the same as the other one. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, yeah, more RAM.
Yay.
I don't think it's for textures. I mean, you could
Well,
put textures in it.
Yeah, 6 was not
Yeah.
enough. So
No, not anymore.
12 certainly should be for most things, and certainly anything this can do. So it's not a bad thing. If I could buy this right now for $369,
36
I
cents.
was,
See,
I
the
was
original
thinking
was
330, 340, but
the original was
okay.
$329, I think.
Yeah.
So $399, I think, for the 2060 Super. So $379.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta kind of
$365.
sit that in the middle. Not that it matters in the slightest.
No.
We weren't sampled. I don't think anybody was really sampled this card. It's just it exists somewhere on the earth.
Is
Unless it's
it an actual RTX 2060 silicon? 12
I think that's what the
nanometer, whatever?
comparison.
Or is it just some kind of detuned RTX 3000 series?
It's TU-106, which according to Tech Power Up's database here.
Oh. Yeah,
Is-
that's
Yeah, so that's the right chip.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Let's
the
look at
12
the cards
nanometer.
that use it chart. There's a lot. Now, see, there's another product that is the CMP40HX. That's a mining card. Only has 8 gigs. More shaders, though. 2304. The 12 gigabyte version. Yeah, see, the original 2060 used the TU-106-200. And this is the -300. So So it has more CUDA cores. It went from 1920 to 2146 or 2176. So I'm wrong. It'll be faster. It'll have faster, like traditional raster-based performance. It'll have probably better ray tracing performance. I wonder what the if the TMU count is up. I don't remember. How does that correspond with RT cores, or is that based on CUs? Not CUs, SMs. I need to stop. It's been too long
You
since
do.
I've done a graphics card review.
It has been.
Yes. Well, they're depressing now, so we don't like doing them.
Yeah, no, I think
does.
RTX cores were kind of disjointed from, that a bit. So I don't know. I can't remember either. It's been too long. I mean, it's 4 years since the RTX 2000 series?
Yeah.
3. Well, no, you're right. 4 years. The 2060 came out CES 2019, but the other stuff came out in 2018. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Close
and the
enough.
RX before, which was, the professional side, but essentially the same.
It's still just GDDR6. It's not going to be 6X. It's not going to have
Yeah.
a ton of memory bandwidth. It's fine. You can't buy it anyway.
Yep. A 1080 Ti is still faster.
If you still have one of those, pat yourself on the back.
You might want to hang on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no choice. There's nothing. to upgrade
This is
to.
true too.
Or turn around and sell it for an obscene amount of money.
Or just
Not that we recommend
happily
that.
game
We
on it.
don't-
Just be happy and game on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, be happy. Don't contribute to the problem unless you need money. I mean, it's December. What if you need money for gifts? Sell your aging 1080 Ti, and
No, you
just
should be
go
giving it
nuts
away.
this year.
You can't even turn
You
it
should be
into
giving it as a
1060
gift,
2060.
Give it away in exchange for money. I think that's
Money.
It's insanity. It's pure insanity.
Oh, speaking of insanity, can you believe that people
I wondered. Yeah.
put an iPad, like a really big iPad Pro, on like a metal stand, and then they gallivant around bragging about their beautiful new Apple computer. It's like, what are you talking about? It's an iPad. This is an iPad. It has the same SoC in it as the current iPad Pro. What is wrong with
me.
you?
You
But they insist, like, no, it's a desktop computer. I swear. They charged me $1,600 for this thing. And then they try to hook up a monitor to it. It's like, it's got USB-C ports. Yeah, but they're not real. I mean, they're not real.
It came with the display. Why do you need another one?
But I wanted a second display because I like two displays on my
I
desk.
didn't want to spend extra for the
No.
stand for the monitor.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Tim
the
Apple
stand
says
for
no.
the only monitor they sell is $1,000. So, and then the monitor itself is $5,000. So yeah, not everybody has $6,000 for a secondary display to their $1,500 all-in-one. But
Hey, if you want the
That
proper
would work.
resolution,
yeah, if
you
you want
fork
maybe
that
you're just
money
not-
over.
Maybe you're just not the right client.
you're like, I want to
the right
put my
customer.
1920 by 1200 Dell display next to my new shiny iMac. Well, it wouldn't look right. And by the way, before even the M1 nonsense, you couldn't hook up, and I know this from firsthand experience. You try hooking up a non-Apple or LG ultrafine display to a Mac anyway, and it always looks a little fuzzy and crappy. So, well, now we have a solution to the crap that is Apple's external display support, and it's called Better Dummy. It's an open source tool. I don't know if everything is it open source or are they using some closed source magic to make this work. I don't remember, Jeremy.
They didn't really explain too much other than it's open source and MIT approved.
Oh, okay.
So they may well have borrowed some the stuff from them, but they're quite happy with it.
Please explain
Although why
the
they're
ridiculous
supporting
hoops that you have to jump through in software to support an external display resolution properly.
Well, essentially what you're doing is using this program to create a virtual display in software. And then you're taking that virtual display and you're mirroring it to an actual physical display. So that instead of your 1440p being downsampled to some bizarre resolution, which is just so blurry you can't possibly read it, or it's still trying to render your icons at the full 4K resolution, so they're about the size of a pinhead, this will actually let you choose a variety of resolutions and display them at a relatively reasonable sharpness.
I don't know if I
You know,
mentioned
you
this
guys.
is
Hey,
a Mac
hey, you guys.
thing.
You know,
This is
you know,
not a Windows thing.
I hook my 16-inch MacBook Pro up to various monitors, and it's just fine. I know what you guys are talking about.
It's just fine if you are legally blind, but for the rest
Yes.
of us who are not, it probably doesn't look very good.
Oh god. All right. Is
Yeah.
Is it over?
Is it over?
At least someone figured out a solution, but
You know, you'd think
this
if,
was a problem that didn't need to exist.
if you have a GPU that technically supports multiple displays, wouldn't it be better to have the GPU handle multi-display output than having to do it in software, which is robbing your CPU cycles and taking up additional resources to then mirror that out? I mean, it obviously if it works, but at what point do you have to stop and think, wait a minute, hold on. I've already given up x86 support other than emulated stuff that was Big Sur compatible, which means like signed 64-bit applications only, no 32-bit support, no native support for legacy applications whatsoever, no ability to emulate x86 outside of like DOSBox. So no running a VM with Windows in it unless it's Windows on ARM, which you can't even really legally do, but people do it anyway for whatever reason. I don't know why, because they hate themselves. And they don't want to run the
Well,
Apple, like Microsoft Office for Mac because it sucks. So they want to run Office for ARM, I guess. So anyway, if you're
they're practicing
that,
for when they can do it.
you're so in love with Apple that you make all these sacrifices to use their current platform, and you even run your external display in software and mirror it out because that's better than just switching to any PC in the world and just having native support for stuff like having more than one monitor hooked up.
You guys suck. I'm going home.
It requires, see, when Apple switched,
Makes sense to Apple customers. Somehow it must.
when Apple,
So it's kind of like you know, since Apple got the free BSD base or the BSD base, that they decided to implement things like backwards Linux stuff. So this makes perfect sense, right?
not sure what you mean by that. Is that some sort of a slight towards the complexity of Linux?
Somewhat.
I mean, they have the terminal. There's a lot of stuff you can do in
Yeah.
there, but
There
and
is.
you increasingly have to use it because so much of the actual features of the operating system have been either removed or hidden in the
Yeah.
GUI
Hidden.
that you have to go into terminal.
That's a feature.
You know how
Okay.
I know how to.
Here comes
view
the Apple
hidden-
user again. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
do you
Finder
look-
can't find it. Wow, I know what to do.
How do
I
I,
know-
find?
I-
how do I see
I know my
hidden
job.
files? Well, in Windows, you go to like the folder options and click on Show Hidden Files. No. It's terminal, write something like defaults.apple.com, Apple
Defaults, right.
show all files, true. Then kill all Finder, enter, and then the screen blinks, and now you can look at hidden files. And that's it.
That used to
there's
be a way
no
to do
easy
it,
way to
yes.
do this. You have to know 2 terminal commands to do this. Anyway, I don't have a problem with using the terminal for stuff. I just think that the platform that was already limited compared to Windows has become kind of a joke because their hardware is literally the same hardware that is in like their highest end phone or tablet, and not any kind of desktop hardware. So you don't get things like, I don't know, PCI Express support for expansion cards. You don't get. I mean, there's a reason the Mac Pro is still x86. I'll be very interested to see what the next generation Mac Pro is. They're going to have to develop some kind of legitimate expansion bus support.
Just go to root and type in rm-rf. It'll solve everything.
You guys.
Okay. Jeremy, tell us about YouTube and Roku. I didn't know there was an issue
No.
with it. Okay. Well, you wrote the article.
How did? Oh, really? You didn't know this? Okay, so, whatever you want to call them, YouTube, Google, Alphabet, they're pissy because Roku seems to more or less have the monopoly on streaming devices in North America. Roku is more or less holding up a mirror at Google. and the whole YouTube thing. So there was this big, huge fight where, first off, YouTube TV as an app was removed from Roku streaming devices a while back. But as of earlier today, YouTube would no longer be available on Roku devices. Google was a little bit pissed that, well, there were two things. One, they demanded that Roku start displaying YouTube TV ads on part of their built-in display, because you pick up a TV, a lot of them are Roku now, so you bring up your menu and there'd be an ad to click on YouTube TV. Roku kind of pointed out that, well, there's a lot of other streaming options out there and you're not demanding that of any of them, to which Google just sort of said, talk to the hand. But the other thing is that Roku likes H.265. It works really well with cheap dedicated hardware encoders. Google, on the other hand, likes AV1. AV1 doesn't quite work so well on just a pure hardware encoder. It wants a little bit more beef to be able to do things. And now everyone's saying that I'm loud again. So this microphone the levels on this are not stable, which is interesting because I'm still at 95 on my end. But
Just lowered it here,
regardless. So
it should be better.
yeah, I think the SH80 is pretty hot. But hey, this is your review of the device. Now you know what the microphone is like. So Roku is a little bit annoyed because they're suggesting that Google is more or less saying that they're going to dictate what kind of hardware they need to put in their next generation stuff to be able to support YouTube. Well, earlier today, or last night, they backed off. And so today you'll still be able to get YouTube on your Roku device. And both sides realize that there's not going to be a single consumer out there that will feel compassion towards either side of this fight. But on the other hand, the announcement from Roku didn't go into details as to what they're going to do. If you're going to start looking at some of the better 4K and 8K streams that YouTube is going to start coming out with, it's not going to be H.265 compatible. You're going to need to use AV1. So the question is Roku going to sort of split off their product line a little bit more so that you've got the Ultra HD and just the HD version? Or are they just going to say, you know what, for H.265 4K is good enough for anyone on YouTube, which we agree with because you, as we said before, you don't want to see us in 8K. It's just going to ruin whatever respect you have for us, assuming you still have any left. So yeah, this was going to be a huge problem for a lot of people, most of whom would have never known the news other than to wake up in the morning and realize they can't watch their YouTubes anymore on their TVs. So we'll see how this goes.
I can't imagine Google ever walking away from all the ad revenue they get from YouTube.
Well, and Roku is the biggest streaming hardware device.
Right. It was bluster.
Purveyor.
There's no way they were going to actually carry that out.
No.
It's like, oh, suddenly we've lost 60% of our living room traffic. I don't think so.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it.
Well,
Right.
except for all those Apple TV users.
Right. There's quite a few of them, but I think the Roku is far more.
Way more.
It is.
How about some quick hits?
Yeah, let's look at some games real quick. Jeremy, there's a few on the list. What's this about Warhammer? Is this an expansion? Is it a
Well,
sequel?
yes, but it's also a standalone game.
Okay.
Creative Assembly put out Warhammer 1, and then when they put out Warhammer 2, all they did was bolt it on to the side of the Warhammer 1. But at the same time, you could play it separately. The third incarnation will be the exact same, except it's on the other side of the map where no one's ever actually been and survived, where there's ogres and daemons and Cathay and all sorts of interesting things. But they've been teasing the various races you're going to be able to play, and today it was Slaanesh, the daemon, goddess, god, hermaphrodite type being of excess. Be it pain, pleasure, whatever it is you got, give Slaanesh more and keep on giving. So it's going to be interesting. They've had to expand a lot of the game mechanics to make this more interesting. So in this case, as opposed to threatening other factions into becoming your vassal, you can seduce them. You'll be able to gift enemy commanders with certain things that might make them a little less effective, although they might enjoy getting them. And there's also
You're
some
talking
mechanics about-
STDs.
oh yeah, like
You're talking about Snoo
Okay.
and
Snoo?
that's a little bit Nurgle, but at the same time,
Death by Snoo Snoo?
yeah. Oh yes, we're definitely talking Death by Snoo.
Okay. All right. You may have heard about something called Halo Infinite. That's also on this list of games that have just been released.
Today.
Apparently not that well reviewed so far. It's just the trend. You can't have a game come out and everybody's happy and it actually works properly.
That's the
because
Battlefield
it's
2042
this
trend.
current year. Our Second
Oh.
says Halo Infinite's campaign finishes the fight but arrives in tatters, marred by serious technical issues. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I have not played it yet.
I was looking forward to playing this one too, and I don't know. They say that it fits neatly with the original intent of. They say that 343 Industries really got their own stamp on it. It really meets with all of the original feels of the earliest games, but yeah, like they said, marred by strange issues. I was
it's
kind of
just
looking
a
forward
patch
to
or
it.
two away, perhaps.
Yeah, I'll probably wait a couple months, then I'll probably go get it. A little disappointing, so read the article on that one.
It's one of those things where it's not hard in this industry to get a game code and check these things out, either right when they come out or early. But
That article has spoilers in it, so
Yeah.
beware.
and that was published back on the 6th, so they had it early for review. Is this a pick of the week or is this a games thing? What is this Humble
It's
Bundle
both.
thing? Is this your pick?
No, but it's a good pick. Jeremy retitled it, actually. His title was better. I'll have him talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's the Holy Bat Bundle.
How many bat
Holy
games do you
bundle.
get for one bat price?
A lot.
Well, Robin, you're not going to believe the
Holy
value of
shnikes,
this.
Batman! $10 for these 8 titles?
I believe it's pay what you want on this.
Oh, okay. But I thought there's usually a threshold. What does it say here?
Might be
There's a
10.
2,
10 bucks
5,
for the
and
8.
8 item bundle.
Yeah.
You have to pay at least 10 to get 8.
At least 10. But
By the way,
look at this.
don't
And remember,
play.
it is the gift of money that is the true value of this bundle.
These Lego Batman games are an exercise in pain and frustration. When you want your son to play something so that you can get some work done, and then he's constantly asking you for help because the objective is unclear, the game mechanics are bizarre and terrible, don't do it. And the handheld ones are even worse.
Hey, on the plus side, it's still cheaper than the Lego set.
It's true. And you can't
That's
hurt your
true.
foot on it
Yeah.
in the dark. But the other ones, like the Arkham Asylum, these go on sale for very low prices from time to time on various platforms. But to get all of them for $10, just be done with it. And play them on the correct platform. The personal computer platform.
We understood that.
Yes.
PC.
Yes.
But yeah, $10 for 8 games. Pretty good.
The
Ones that you
last...
can actually sit your kids in front of, too.
Sorry.
It's okay.
That's
The
$1.25
last-
a game.
Am I looking at the right thing?
Math.
What is
I don't
Stanley Parable
What
Ultra
is the Stanley
Deluxe?
Parable? That's a
Oh
good
my gosh,
question.
you've never played the Stanley
No.
Parable?
I have not. Are these point and click mystery adventure type games or
It's no. It's a unique experience.
okay?
They've
How
been
unique?
promising. Well, it's unique. They've been promising an update that this particular update would come out in 2019. I'm sorry, did I say 2019? I meant 2020. Did I say 2020? I meant 2021. No,
2019
no, 2022. I think they mean it this time.
Yeah.
delay. Oh, I see. They're kind of making fun of this. I
Yeah.
see. So far, the artwork is reminiscent of Monty Python. So what
I
are
was
these
going to
things?
say
Bad
it's
style.
not really Monty Python-esque. It's
Oh, I see.
more.
It looks like crappy.
Maybe
VR
Black
game.
Mirror?
Well,
Yeah, it's more like Black
or
Black Mesa.
Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
Yeah, Little Brazil. It's like the Office version of Black Mesa.
Yeah, but Terry Gilliam still.
Yeah, I'm just helping you out here, Sebastian.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
It's
what
content
can he
complete.
add
It's
to the-
everyone-
preparing for
yeah.
release.
Just about
There's-
every
there's a couple-
platform has given away the Stanley Parable for free, so
Yeah.
Okay.
it's your fault if you don't have it at this point. Really.
Yeah, and you haven't played it through to all the endings that are possible.
So it's like a visual
Yeah.
novel. Is that what you're talking about?
It's
That's closer,
it's,
but
it's a way to pass some time while you click buttons.
Good
and
lord,
move
it
around
sounds
in a
exactly
3D
like a
space.
visual novel. All right.
It's not.
If I'm ever
It tells
desperately
a
bored, let me
story.
check it out.
It tells a story.
Wait, you're desperately bored sometimes?
No, I said if
Yeah.
I ever am.
Yeah, no,
This would-
that's
this would
never
be-
happened to me in years.
This would be engaging.
Engaging.
Yeah. Well,
Is
no.
it handheld? Is that what you're saying? Is it a
No.
handheld
No.
with a cult following?
No, it's
I'm
kind of
inventing.
interesting. If you haven't played it, these sort of bizarre little self-contained games, then you should probably go try one. You could play it for 6 hours or 15 minutes. It depends.
I see.
I've got it somewhere, so maybe I'll have to try it.
YouTube says you're bad at selling this. I agree.
I'm trying.
100%.
It's
I
difficult
never
to
want to touch this.
Go
with
read
someone
it.
else's 10-foot pole. All right, quickly.
Ooh. It's
we'll
not
say
Fallout.
that. I'm going to limit this discussion to like 4 minutes. We'll say. I reviewed a case. It's from Silverstone. It is called the Alta G1M. The M designates micro ATX. It does not support ATX motherboards. Supports micro ATX and ITX. It only supports SFX and SFXL power supplies, however. Unlike the last small form factor case from Silverstone, try to wrap your head around this. I last reviewed the Silverstone Sugo, I think it's pronounced Sugo, 15, which was a small mini ATX cube-like case that took full-size ATX power supplies. Now we have a micro ATX that only supports SFX power supplies. What is happening? As you can see from this first picture, there's a huge gap at the bottom. That's where the air intake comes in. This is really just the reinvention of the Fortress FT03, which you may know, it's this small footprint but tall case. This case is a little under 8 inches wide, about 12 inches deep, and it's 20 inches high. There it is on a desk. This very desk that I'm sitting at, as a matter of fact, which is really an IKEA table. And as you can see from those 3 shiny fans on the vented side panel, this has support for up to a 360-degree radiator in it. That's the big difference between this and the old Fortress case, is that one only had 120 millimeter support, and this one goes all the way up to 360 if you so choose. And I'll just give you a brief tour of the outside of it. It's all vented on all sides except for one. It does have one plain metal side, which is, where the...
Motherboard
Back.
mounts?
Yeah, well, no, that's the other side, which is also vented.
Oh.
Because when you put it together, this is rotated. This is 90-degree rotation. Silverstone likes that. Their Fortress cases, the Raven cases, they all have that rotated look. So even though if you look at it from, say, the back, this is actually the top. So your rear I/O is actually up top, just like that LDO3 case that we looked at a year ago. If you open it up, this is what you're presented with. This bracket that's keeping you from your build. You have to remove that first with 2 screws. That is your hard drive and cooling radiator bracket. So if you choose the build I did, which was to use a 360 millimeter rad, because they sent a 360 millimeter cooler with this, then you don't have storage support anymore, other than the M.2 slots on your board, or unless you get creative. There's some space behind the motherboard you could throw a SSD into
What
if
if you
had to.
get perpendicular?
What if you get trapezoidal?
Oh, well, at least perpendicular has a song that goes with it.
Okay. I had
Get
one issue.
perpendicular.
Because the nice thing about these cases is that because the GPU hangs from the top like a bat, you can fit a really long GPU in a 20-inch tall case. However, I had this weird issue where one of the motherboards I used 2 boards when I was playing around with this, was a little bit thinner than the other, and the GPU was sitting on the metal below the motherboard tray, which I thought was odd. But the other motherboard I used that apparently had a thicker PCB did not have this issue. We're talking about less than a millimeter here. But that's just something to bear in mind. I ended up grabbing a shorter GPU to finish it with my thinner board, so I wouldn't have the GPU sitting on the case directly. but that could have just been like a weird, like maybe the thing was bent and I didn't even notice it. As you can see, you can shove a 360-degree rad on top of your build. Just make sure you organize your cables first. There was an absolute nightmare. This is with some basic, like I bundled them up at least a little bit, but when every fan has an RGB cable, a PWM cable, you've got the like pump light
And 360-degree cooling.
Yeah, there was a just
That's a
disturbing
rat's nest.
Yes, it's a rat's nest.
Yeah.
And it went from that to this to shoving it in. Now,
Yeah.
I realized after I built this that I should have put the fans on the inside of the radiator. I'll talk about why shortly, because these fans,
That way they could catch all those wires.
that's why I didn't do it, but I should have done a better job of cable management. Here it is before I shove it in. I had the system running to make sure it worked before I put it all together.
Nice hammock.
Yeah, thank you. When you actually close the outer panel, like you saw in that picture up here, the fans themselves are right up against the side panel, which sounds fine, but that it's hard to see in this picture, but there is an integrated filter behind all of those vent holes, and so that is right, not touching, but right up against the fan. So there was a considerable amount of turbulence. There was this hissing sound whenever the fans were spinning up because it was just so close, and there's enough resistance from that screen that I think it impedes airflow a little bit. So as I mentioned in the testing portion, I did have a little bit higher thermals than I was expecting, considering all those vents. Because in an open test bed, like just on the table here, the CPU had a delta. This is a 9900K, but with the limits enforced, so it's actually reasonable. It went up, let's see, where do I talk about it? It went up 12.8 degrees inside versus outside the case. So like, when it was outside the case, it
Wow, that's a
was
lot.
totally fine. And I put it inside the case, ran the same tests, and it was 12.8 degrees higher. The GPU was fine because there's great airflow from the bottom to the top in this thing. There's a 180 millimeter fan in the bottom of the case, blowing straight up across your GPU, out the top, and that works great. That always worked great in the Fortress cases, like my old FTO2. You could air cool and overclock to your heart's content with those things. So I would use an air cooler in this, is the upshot. Use an air cooler on your CPU, take advantage of that great airflow from the bottom. Don't use a rad like I did, or at least put the fans on the inside. I think if the fans were on the inside, then maybe, I don't know, maybe it would work better if the radiator was up against the side.
You sort of miss that great glow show.
Still be some
fans.
whistling.
Yeah, and it's
from
pushing
the-
through the rad too.
I know. It's not ideal. Just don't use a radiator with this. I do really like the polish of this case. Every little detail, like the cutout for the power supply power plug is centered in the back, and even though the power supply, normally the power cord would be coming out the side, they have a little cable that reroutes it to the center of the back. The top is really nicely done. You have a rubber grommeted exit for all of your like display and USB cables out the top. It's hard to see here, but there's a little clip that helps organize the cables before they go out the grommeted opening, so it puts less stress on it. It's just in general the
What's the price of
touches
this?
were interesting. The price $169.
Huh, I would have put it closer to 200.
No, I mean we're talking just steel and plastic here, and it comes
Oh,
with
come
just
on,
the one
the
fan.
self-assembled ones are $200 now.
Here they have their. This is the glamour shot, and as you can see, the FTO3 is on the wall. Its beloved family member,
Yeah.
but it's already selling for less. I saw it on Amazon for $152, so it's more reasonable. But then I was like, the Suco 15, that was $169, but that's crept up to $197. So, do you want a case that'll support a big graphics card? The Sugo 15, by the way, not only does it support full-length graphics cards in a smaller overall package, even though it has a bigger footprint, it has way better storage support. There's like multiple 2.5-inch SSD mounts that you can use, even if you're using a 240 millimeter rad in that case. So if you absolutely have to have a 360 rad, even though the performance isn't that great, because the airflow is just, it's not set up for the side-mounted rad like that. It's set up for something up top. So anyway, I gave it the silver because there's a couple drawbacks here. I don't like having to be forced to use an SFX when it's bigger than their mini ITX that uses full-size ATX power supplies. So Silverstone, I love how they always have, there's so many options in their lineup. They have a huge lineup of cases. So this might fit your very particular needs. If you're like, look, I have a table this size, I have a small apartment, I cannot have any bigger footprint than 8 by 12. Well, here you go. Now you have a 20-inch tall case. Stack it up, put stuff in it, use an air cooler though, and you'll have better temps.
Stack it
The
up.
form factor reminds me of the Fantech Shift Air 2 that I reviewed about a few months ago. And I got a triple slot 2080 Ti, 2.5, that Asus one, about a 2.5 card slot. But it wouldn't take more than a 120 AIO. I think it was smaller case though, but vertical oriented.
Yeah, the LDO3
mesh
was
side
like that too.
panels.
You could put a 120 up top, but that was it. But really, you know,
This actually had the arrangement where the radiator was below the pump, potentially giving that sort of dangerous relationship of where the air might circulate to get close to the pump. But it was a very attractive case. I did like the form factor quite a lot, actually. But it didn't have as many choices from a motherboard perspective. You can only get the ITX board in it. But it was a great looking case, and it had really nice airflow right across it and up through it. And it was all the outputs for the motherboard were at the top as well. So kind of the same deal with everything coming out the back and down the side. It's tucked underneath the rear panel though, so it came out the bottom, but it was started at the top, then got it tucked underneath the panel and came out the bottom.
Yeah.
It had a trough in the inside.
But the thing is, I don't know if either of these cases could fit the world's greatest graphics card, which I can't believe didn't make the list.
What's that?
Voodoo 5?
Noctua released
Oh Lord.
a 3070.
I didn't even
That's
pick
got a
that.
How
lot of
could you
attention lately.
Skip this.
It's
It could. So could either of your cases fit a 4.3 slot GPU?
No.
See, no, I'm just. Who cares anymore?
I guess.
Because if
Really-
you can't fit a 4.3 slot GPU
You're bragging on the
with
Browns.
case stands on it that you can take out and replace with whatever
There's a
fans you
side
would like.
shot. Oh, there's
It,
get a
it
nice
makes me
side
sad
shot of that.
that Noctua is embracing all the more their, generic black, gray, silver color schemes for fans and coolers. There's a new air
Oh
cooler
no,
from
no
them,
Chromax
so-
version for this.
This is just
we
Screw the
see that.
Chromax
gloriously
version.
brown
I
in
want
very
the
best
proper
way.
brown.
Yeah.
That's just gross.
I like it.
It's
but
beautiful.
It's reminiscent of something. All that
It's
brown.
so
Acquired
hideous. It's
taste.
gorgeous.
Two round brown piles. It looks like
But
something.
look, you can literally unscrew that fan shroud and replace them with whatever 120 mil fans you would like, if
Does
you
it
wanted
remind you
to
of walking the dog?
desecrate it.
Desecrate.
By the way, to address a extremely minor controversy in the YouTube chat, somebody said, "How could you give that case a silver award?" or words to that effect. Why not a bronze? Was I feeling generous? No, because when Ryan came up with these award levels, instead of doing bronze, silver, gold, he decided to do silver, gold, editor's choice. Editor's choice standing in for gold. Gold is
There is
actually
no bronze.
silver. Silver is actually bronze. It makes manufacturers happy. I guess that was the thinking. It's the reason that, like, Anons back in the day, he started a rating system and then he had to drop it. It's like manufacturers got too upset. They want an award to put on the box. They don't want a score of 72. They don't want to hear about it. I had this argument with Jim a couple years ago. Like, no, don't put a rating on the reviews. That's only going to cause headaches and trouble, and I don't want to deal with the phone calls and the backlash. If you don't love a product, just don't give it an award. Let the review speak for itself. I thought this was interesting enough, was well done enough for what it is, that it deserved a silver, because that's our lowest award level. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscription button and the bell and all that other stuff.
Smash.
Smash. Smash that
Smash
subscribe. Yeah,
the
yeah.
bell. Oh,
dislike
don't
it. Put a
smash
dislike
that
on the video because
subscribe.
the public can't see that anymore. So just dislike it
Yeah.
into oblivion.
Just
At least you're
dislike it.
interacting
Just
with
down
us. All right, it's time for picks of the week.
No, it's not.
Why?
It's not.
Let's do
Stop.
one other quick review.
Okay, yes, Josh.
Oh my God! What?
So last week I bought the Thrustmaster
you bought it.
Oh, you got it. You got it in.
Set, and for $189, it's not too bad. Now the joystick itself it's got some pretty good heft to it. The spring is really nice. The action is fluid, and you get a good rattle pedal, and the buttons have good tactile feel. They're a little bit cheaper than they wanted to be. A little throttle on the back. It's got a smooth action, and you can just control it with your thumb.
Ooh, nice.
It's got swappable buttons. You just pop these things out, and they come with 2 extra ones that you can mix and match. So you can have it for left-handed use, like a captain of the Airbus A series, because they've got all the side sticks. If you're the co-pilot, they swap that out, and you've got the right-handed side. And I think it even has a switch in there in the control panel if you're using it left or right. Of course, the big selling point is this throttle quadrant. Now, what's interesting about this is, it's got a pretty good action to it,
Nice.
Yeah.
It looks a little light.
and it's got the thrust reversers in there, so you pop back and you got that nice, and the engine on and off and restart and light, and what's nice is that on the back you can adjust the actual kind of tension against there, so you can adjust the feel. It's USB-C, and this is where you plug in the rudders. So what's neat about this is they also sell 2 other ones, like flaps and gear and other, or you can get 2 of these together, put them together, and have quad throttles for your 747 or A340 type experience with 4 engines. Calibration on this is nice. The feel on this is pretty good. It's not as hefty as I was hoping. I mean, it's fairly light, and the switches are okay. They're not great. I think some of the higher end HOTAS stuff will have a little bit better feel to it. But for $189 for both of them, it's okay. I can't complain. It has a significant amount more functionality in Flight Sim. You use the keyboard less, which is nice. You're more hands-on throttles and, HOTAS, hand-on throttle and stick. Anyway.
What's the mounting options? So to get them slotted.
Yeah,
into
I mean they
something
have
like
they
the
have screw
desk,
holes
or-
and stuff, so you can actually there's 2 on here, and then there's it looks like 2 on this. So they're just very basic type bolts that you can use for most sim stuff. So you can mount them there, and then of course if you've got more than one of these, you can take these things out and flip them around, and I think mount them up here and here, and so you've got another stick, or you've got the 2 smaller ones that do the flaps and gear and whatnot. And so there's some options here. And again, $189 is a little bit higher price than I would be hoping for, especially the heftiness, the feel of the actual throttle quadrant. But it's still not bad, and it's well supported in a variety of games. Thrustmaster does a pretty good job working with developers to have native support for a lot of their products in there. So I originally messed this up when I plugged it in. I had it throttle 3 and 4 rather than 1 and 2, and so Microsoft Flight Sim was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I unplugged it, turned it to 1.2, plugged it back in. And it's like, hey, you got one of these quadrants and everything works. So, maybe this would be worth a silver award as well if we were to do a long form review. I mean, you get kind of what you pay for. There are additional options. Again, the quality on the actual stick itself is nice. It's got a good feel to it. I think that's something that Thrustmaster does a good job. They could have done a little bit better job on the throttles. They do feel a little chintzy, but it's still nice to have that feel in your hand, and the thrust reversers and auto throttle on off buttons and all that other stuff. So if you look at my Twitter feed, I actually did the full Sully flight plan of getting up to 2,600 feet and then losing power on both engines and trying to land in the
Going for
Hudson.
a swim?
I was able to do that successfully, and it was kind of fun and interesting to compare that versus visualize through Clint Eastwood's Sully movie and how they did that. And it was actually kind of interesting. I mean, if you've got Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, take off from LaGuardia and go to 2,600 feet and cut your engine and see what you do, see where you can go.
So you're saying that no Airbus customers have lost their life due to the HOTAS yet?
Correct. Well, at least for me. I'm sure there are other
yeah, I
people
meant
who
for
have. Yeah.
It reminds me
So,
that
yeah,
last. Cool.
Yeah.
Thrustmaster was the suggestion given to me after last week's. I kind of threw out the question to the audience of, hey, what's a good flight sim, space flight sims stick HOTAS set that's not outrageously expensive and hand built by small German people, out of titanium. What was a reasonably priced one? And the audience came back and said the T.16 at 16000M HOTAS
Yeah, the
pack.
16,000M. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. With or without the pedals, I guess, but maybe with the pedals, the whole pack is under 300 for those. So Thrustmaster seems to be a reasonably priced alternative rather than paying Warthog price or more for these sort of things. Yeah,
I agree.
good manufacturer.
Josh, that was good enough to be a standalone review.
It
And if you hadn't just
almost.
sprung it on me out of nowhere,
Well,
I could have muted
you can
everybody
cut it.
and then salvaged that footage and said, separate video post going up this week, 5 minutes with Thrustmaster. Scrolled over a couple of photos while you were talking.
You still can.
I could, except there's a
can
little
just
bit of
cut that out.
crosstalk.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
who cares?
There
Do
was
it.
a little bit. Hey, how do you mount that? That was me. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
It was collaborative.
Yeah.
And it did allow
It's
you to point out the
collaborative
fact
effort.
that you can sort of gang them together with that option that's built into the bottom. You take this off, and then you
Yeah,
can put multiple
more than one
throttles
person
and
can
connect them
throttle
together.
their stick at the same time. You can
That
put-
wasn't what he was talking about.
Double
That
up.
was-
Sure.
Double up
that's
on it.
I
different.
mean, as long as you
Totally
pull them down first.
not the
yeah.
same.
Yeah, you have to
Not-
screw them down.
Make sure
first.
to secure.
Yep.
Nope.
But you
Nope,
gotta
that's not it.
get a consent form.
Yeah, you gotta
Yes.
have a good. Anyway, never mind.
Still not it.
A good lawyer. All right. Let's go to picks of the week, and I
Sure.
think we're gonna go right back
Yeah.
to Laramie, aren't we?
Yeah. Inland, they've been making some inexpensive but reasonable SSDs. I've heard very few real negative reviews about them. I mean, they're not fancy, they're not the fastest, but they're reasonably priced and they're solid performers. Now with this one, it's kind of interesting because for $250, you get a 2 terabyte the first generation of PCIe 4.0 type drive. So you got 5 gigabytes per second reads and 4.3 gigabyte per second writes. But for a non-Black Friday price for 2 terabytes for $250, I mean, it's only $50 more expensive than PCIe 3.0 stuff that, it's going to be 20% slower than this. And so it's a nice little choice for those on a budget who want to have a either faster, OS drive or a faster little gaming drive. It's
Oh.
not unreasonable.
Okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
and with
Oh,
the
look at
heatsink,
that.
it's $10 less.
But yeah,
Oh,
if you
wait,
do
there you
the
go.
$40 coupon. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
you.
Mm,
Okay,
no,
let's not do that.
cut.
No. That's a cut point.
Edit
Anyway,
point.
how many times have I done that?
every time.
If you haven't figured it out by now, it's not hard. So
Anyway,
for just a few dollars more, you can get the one without the heatsink. I didn't realize that was the.
I've
I
seen
guess I
that
forgot
movie.
That was the Micro.
then
Center
$40 off
brand.
with that coupon. Oh, you got the coupon. Never mind. That was personal to you, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think that's
I'm not logged
generally
in.
available. Yeah, I think that's a general coupon.
Cool. All right. Without heatsink, let me see. Extra savings for promotions available.
So it'll be $229. We're getting really close to what is that, like 13 cents a gigabyte?
Save an extra $40 when you do this. So yeah, $229 for a reasonably fast 2 terabyte PCIe 4.0. 4.5
better.
stars.
That's better than the other promotions because there's multiple promotions for this. There's 4 promotions total right now, but they're like 5% off if you buy one more any item offered by Micro Center. Like anyway,
But this
Oh
would
my
be good for
God,
my
you were the
little,
first one to
motherboard
mention it this
because-
I didn't do it.
this is a Micro Center brand. That's
Brett,
the Micro Center
you-
brand is Inland. I didn't know they sold through Amazon. That makes
scot-free
sense.
this time.
But it's
That's-
sold by
that's all
Micro Center,
level.
shipped by Amazon.
I wasn't aware of that. Thank you.
I think Brett. I don't know. I always blame Brett for any Micro Center mentions.
Okay. Well, anyway, moving along.
Yes, Jeremy, what is your pick this week?
I don't know.
Okay, like Brett.
All
Wait,
right,
Jeremy, do
so
you have one?
it's
You
mining.
should do mine next. actually.
Mining.
Yeah, actually, no. Yeah, but do his first because he wants to mine
Yeah,
first.
no, yeah. Let's do Jeremy's last.
Go for it, Brett.
Let me go. The reason I wanted to go is because I'll let Sebastian catch up on the.
Well, when you need to go, you need to go.
No, I mean
Yeah.
go, Brett.
Okay, this is the Western Digital SN750 NVMe 4.0 interface, 1 terabyte, exactly half the capacity of what Josh's pick was, for under $100, $99.
That's a good price.
Damn good price, if I might say.
That's Gen 3.
Now the-
Wait,
no,
it's Gen 4?
It's Gen 4.
It's
Gen 4
just a little
PCI.
bit faster than Gen 3, though.
It is. You can tell.
Oh,
they
it's
didn't, you know-
SN750 SE.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not
SN750.
going to be very much faster, but yeah.
It isn't, but it's a Gen 4 interface.
So,
It's
okay,
a
enough of the
terabyte.
Gen 4. It's 3,600 megs per second max.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't necessarily super qualify, but it is under the magic $100 for a terabyte.
Well, hey,
You have
it's
to
it's
admit
also
that.
compatible with Gen 3. So if you don't have
It
a
is.
Gen 4, what is this connector in the back?
And it doesn't come with a. It is a little bizarre. It
Debug.
doesn't come with a fancy heatsink.
Oh, it doesn't
Maybe
need
it
one.
does
This
as
looks
an
like a
option in the box.
DRAM-less drive. There's a controller. There's NAND. Controller. NAND. Oh, is that the
It's-
NAND? Controller.
It might be on the back.
Controller.
I don't know.
Maybe the controller's
Scroll
on
down.
the back, and that's
This looks like this is just a rebranding of the WD Blue, with maybe slightly better performance.
It might be because it does have a Gen 4 interface.
Okay, enough of the Gen 4 interface.
It has a Gen 4 interface.
Okay. And look, you can use their fancy black, the WD Black software suite.
Well, only if you use French. If you say it in French, you can.
Okay. I'm not even going to attempt that.
No, don't.
Okay.
Anyway, pretty darn good price for a terabyte of NVMe storage.
Yeah, I mean, if you
at
want a terabyte of slow NVMe SSD, that is where it is
not-
at.
3600 is. I don't know what they're. I don't know how.
Okay, it is
quickly falls on
significantly
its face.
faster than the Blue. I'm being a jerk. Here's the Blue. It's $83
$2,400.
before you save an extra
Yep.
$5 when you apply this coupon, and it's only up to $2,400 because that was a pretty slow
Right.
QLC DRAM-less drive. So
Although this one is fairly inexpensive as well. The black drives are usually cut above the blues. So
yes, I remember that from the hard
usually
drive
holds.
era, Brett,
Yes,
where the
so
black
true.
cost more
Yes.
because better.
Yes. So the black NVMe is still a little better. 3600 doesn't. It's not terrible. You could probably do better, but under $100. That's the magic price point for a terabyte.
I like it. All right, Jeremy. Finally,
Do you like it?
do I like what?
Yes.
Mining? No. Justify
Ah.
yourself. Explain
But-
yourself.
This is good urban mining. So we've all seen the giant mountains of electronic waste in countries other than North America that we all just sort of ship it off to, and we ignore the fact that there's kids trying to use various acids to extract some of the valuable metals from the motherboards and phones and everything that we toss out. So this has actually been an interesting breakthrough recently using flash joule heating. And so essentially what that is that instead of trying to use a chemical reaction to free the valuable metals out of a substrate or a motherboard, they're heating it up to like 3,400 Kelvin in like less than a second in a vacuum chamber. So a lot of the really valuable and rare stuff, like the cadmium and the mercury and the gold, they've got different evaporation temperatures. So by doing this quick little bang, you get all of these various vapors being separated into different cold traps. And instead of, dealing with giant vats of acid, which, to get your rhodium out aren't exactly environmentally friendly either. In this case, you just have to spend an immense amount of energy to get a vacuum chamber and a flash heater. But it's actually a much better way to recover a lot of the metals that we just sort of toss out because, oh, look, it's a new phone. That one's just garbage now. And like honestly, some of these rare metals are very well named. They're kind of rare and easy to get to places. So being able to reclaim these is actually a very big thing. And to see, someone actually working on getting this out, and first off, stopping them from getting into the environment. Second off, not forcing kids to do that sort of thing with giant vats of acid. And third off, to be able to recover them in a useful condition where they can actually be presented to a company to be able to make the next generation of stuff with recycled metals is actually kind of a big thing. And it's also used for a bunch of other things, like they can do it for soil to get a bunch of the lead and stuff out. So this was actually kind of interesting when I saw it. And I mean, the fact that I could say that, mining is good is fairly rare. So yeah, I kind of like this whole idea, and I hope that we can find a relatively good way to implement it. Because one of the things I said was that per ton of e-waste processed is about 939 kilowatt hours. But the thing is that commercial smelting furnaces is more like 90,000 kilowatt hours. So yeah, it's still energy intensive, but comparatively, nowhere near the same ballpark. So hey. And, it beats sifting through the side of the road to gather gold from catalytic converters, doesn't it?
That's really popular around here, so don't knock it.
Hey, it used to be a thing.
Yes.
It's still a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, we pretty much emptied about a Canada of that. There were some very effective people doing that.
I just wonder, how do you unload these things? Isn't it obvious what's going on when you bring in this pile of catalytic converters and just...
Oh, no, I'm literally talking about the gold that is taken out by the reaction with the lead and deposited on the side of the road.
Oh,
there are literally ways you can sift for gold on the side of roads. Yes.
Huh.
That's incredible.
You ain't going to get rich, but, well, you might get a little bit more out of it than you put in. If you don't mind monotony.
Speaking of monotony, we'll be back next week to do this all over again.
Speaking of monotony.
God willing. Or forbid. I don't know. It's probably... Some people like this. And we're going to keep doing it until nobody watches or listens anymore.
And then we're going to do it twice as much just to punish you for not
then
watching.
we'll double up our efforts.
Just redouble our efforts.
We'll beat the dead horse. Well, until next week, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And have a great week.
Thanks.
Clear.
Yay!
We're coming up on another holiday. So I think the last Wednesday of the month, we're not going to have a show.
Yeah.
Hey, which
take a look
one's
at
that?
Wait, is that Christmas Day? Just wait.
I don't know.
No, Christmas is on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Christmas is like a Saturday.
So we'll have the Wednesday off before the 22nd. We'll probably take the week off, with the day
Okay, because I don't know about my 29th. I'll be in Kingston. I probably will not be having a good time.
off. Oh. No, I didn't have a pick. Sorry. I rarely do, but I just didn't. No.
Yeah, 1223. I'm looking at it right now. We actually have a sponsor for 1223. I might have to ask them to move that to 1230.
Well, it's a Thursday.
Well, I'm sorry, 1222. The dates are
Okay.
all off on these. So that would be
Are
1229.
you using an Apple?
No.
Well,
they
the
just- they
podcast
can-
isn't the earliest it's ever published is the day after, so that makes
It's
sense.
Thursday. Yes.
Oh,
So
fair.
it's-
Okay, I get you
It
now.
has to do with when the
Yeah,
sponsor.
22nd for me is doable. I don't know about you guys. The week after, not so much.
Yeah, the 22nd probably be okay. The 29th
Speak for
is
yourself.
our next show.
Yeah, I may be coming
Okay.
back from Texas. No, I might be back. I don't know.
Okay. If we do
Oh,
a show on the
gotcha. Show on the-
22nd, it needs to be a really short one then.
Okay.
Okay, no.
We've got a 15th.
So,
We've got a
I'll-
12:15.
I can drag some stuff out on the 29th. It'll be Airbnb Wi-Fi, so God only knows what
Oh.
it'll be like.
That's the yearly wrap-up show where Sebastian comes in with a suit jacket and a tie and all that, and we
Oh,
have
really?
the disco ball.
nothing
Because
else.
of the one time we did that.
Yeah, we. I'm totally wearing a jacket again.
All right. Well, I'm sure everybody's
So-
excited about this conversation about our holiday schedule.
Holiday.
Need to know.
Riveting.
We're still streaming.
I asked the family folks to see if they can't sport me that Thrustmaster joystick. I'm not sure they're going to be able to swing it though.
That's what you
Oh.
asked for from Santa.
did.
Nah.
Santa,
I did.
I've
I
been really
asked-
good this year.
I've been asking
I
for
asked
one for 3
Family
years
Santa.
now.
Hasn't
Sure.
worked.
Yes, yes.
Family are no damn good.
Hey, they got you that smoker, Josh.
This is
did.
true.
Count your blessings.
take it back.
You ungrateful bastard.
What happened to
Ungrateful
your
is correct.
What happened to your tomato plants, you ungrateful bastard?
They
them.
they were just getting too old and cranky and didn't like the lack of sun and colder temperatures.
You know, it tends to happen to plants, Brett. Some of them
Yeah.
just wither up, but they're bulb plants. They'll come back next year. Tomatoes, you got to replant those things.
Yeah.
You got to save those seeds.
Yeah.
I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Those prize-winning heirloom tomatoes or whatever. they're called.
Tomatoes.
Josh, how many? Go back to your joysticks. How many hours you have on Microsoft Flight Sim and those sticks?
6 or 7 hours.
Huh.
Oh, good on you.
Review.
Yeah, I got
Yep.
decent with them. I mean, I discovered early on that at first I thought they were kind of broken a little bit
Why?
and not working, and I was trying to go into options and change stuff around, and then I came across a video of calibrating your joysticks, your throttles, and I went through that, and it all worked much better. So, yeah, if you're having issues with you're barely moving it and your thrust goes up to 100%, do a joystick calibration, and it improves dramatically.
Is that included in the
But landing an FA-18
software?
is still kind of hard. What?
Is that included with the software that came with the joysticks? Hotel
No,
stuff?
it's actually a hardware function. So you unplug
Oh.
it, you press the right lower button, you plug it back in, you let go of the button, you advance the joysticks to the very back, you click on the 2 side buttons on the throttle, pull back 1 notch, re-click, pull back a notch, re-click, do your thrust reversers to the end, click, and then hit 2 buttons, and that then calibrates the throttle. It's
sounds so simple.
it's
You lost me. You lost me at click though. That's where I.
Yeah.
It's
kinda
like the old
fell off.
hidden, the old hidden codes to recalibrate your old Logitech joysticks. Logitech
Yes.
game
Well, I
software
mean,
didn't tell you, but if you did do a couple of clicks, and it would suddenly dump you into it, and you could.
Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, well, it's got those click spots where you got a quarter, half, 3/4 that stops you, and so it knows where it is, and
Right.
it does a pretty good job.
Sebastian, what have you bought off the internet lately?
Nothing for me.
Oh,
It's that time of year again. I have a 6-year-old son,
Oh.
so I've like accumulated a few things.
yep.
And he has, unusual tastes because there's this thing called YouTube. I don't know if you've heard of it before. I think we
Oh,
alluded to it
okay.
earlier.
All right.
Yep.
Yep.
you let a kid watch YouTube videos, and all of a sudden you're like, "Whoa, I want that!" You look it up, like, "Oh, they haven't made that in 2 years, and now it's like 8 times the original price on eBay." Like, well, you can't have that. What about this thing? Oh, discontinued last year. Can't find it anywhere. Super expensive. But don't worry, there's like 200 videos where somebody's playing with it on YouTube, and now he, desperately wants it. His tastes aren't that outrageous, but he likes Thomas the Tank Engine, which was really popular in the 90s
Yeah.
and dropped off a cliff.
Oh, it was popular in the 2000s. So
Well, yeah, Fisher
Yeah.
Price bought it from Learning Curve, who licensed it from Bulane in the UK, and Learning Curve.
the
now
Isle of
licensed it here.
Sodor.
Yes. Well, Fisher Price discontinued it a couple years ago, completely, as far as I know. And now the stuff you can find is there's a very small selection, and he likes the older stuff because he watches videos
Oh
on
yeah.
YouTube of the older
I
stuff.
used to have a
So it's like,
lot of it, actually. I don't know what happened to it.
I wish you still did.
lot of
Like,
it.
just
I
slip
might.
you some
I
money
should
and
look around.
get it.
I
From
had a
you,
lot of
because-
track. I had the little buildings and stuff that went with it, like
Yeah.
a turnstile and
Yeah. He has
Mhm.
the turntable in the
Yeah,
shed,
the turntable.
like the bots.
Yeah, the
not
turntable in the
bots,
shed. Yes.
The Tidmouth sheds.
Yep.
Yes, he has that. He has tons of track. He doesn't need any track. It's just that he's obsessed with the troublesome trucks, the freight cars that always give the engines trouble.
Oh.
They all have different faces
Oh.
and different personalities. And those are, you try to find a specific troublesome truck from 1994 or 1996. It's like, oh, how much is this one? Oh, he was talking about this brown one. How much? $175
Probably
Oh.
UK only.
for
That's
one
stupid.
freaking wooden toy train freight
It's
car.
gone into collector's
Oh, sir,
stratosphere.
yeah, absolutely. The cheapest I could find of anything even remotely similar to what he wanted was like $30 for one wooden used toy from the 1990s.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's all I've bought lately. A couple of those.
Okay.
All right, time to say goodbye. Good night,
Yeah.
everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.
Goodbye.
Good night,
See ya.
Gracie.